again with Benny Hester, and Benny, we're talking this month about having faith and trust in God. And I guess faith, when you think about it, is something that we need to have because we don't always, in fact, we can't see God, and there's times we really don't feel God, especially in tough times. Have you ever experienced any, I'm sure you have, real tough times where you've really had to extend your faith and trust in God?
Yeah, I have. And I find that whenever things are the very worst, when we're the most desperate and we don't have the answers, that's whenever we find out what's really inside of us. It's kind of like a tube of toothpaste. You squeeze it and what's in there comes out. Well, during those tough times, we get squeezed a little bit and those things begin to come out and we start finding out if we really do believe what we say we believe. And we find out if those foundations in Jesus Christ are real. And in the times that I've had where I felt like I didn't have control of the situation, where I felt like I couldn't possibly make one thing happen or another thing happen, I had to understand that God was in control. And when those times happened, that's when I really saw God move. And that's the times really that I was changed the most. Yeah. For the good.
Yeah. You know, young people, they have many opportunities to put their trust in God with grades, and I know, I can remember back in my teen years so many times being rejected by peers, or your girlfriend breaks up with you, things like that, where it just seems like, man, God, where are you? Yeah. And what would you tell a teenager? What would you tell a young person that's in a real hard, difficult time like that, that they could do to really get back in the presence of God and sense that presence again in their life?
I think when I was in high school, I was kind of a nerd, and I always wanted to please other people. But I wasn't a Christian, and I didn't have any Christian influence in my life at all. And I think if you're going through those tough times, you really need to make sure that you're refocusing everything back on your relationship with God, not being pulled around or led around by the nose by your friends or by all the pressure that comes on you to be cool or to do something that everyone is doing. You got to make sure that you're making your judgments based on the values that you know would please God.
Yeah. As I think back so many times in my life when I've really felt like God was at a real distance was when sin had come into my life in some way or form. And I know there's so many young people who have allowed that in their life. What would you tell a teenager who has allowed sin in their life? They felt distance from God. What would they need to do to come back to God? Some steps that they would take to get God back in their life?
You know what? It's simple. And nobody, first of all, is perfect. There are no perfect people. And so we've all made mistakes. And sometimes we start carrying all this guilt and all this burden around with us, and we feel like God could never use us. And He gives us a simple formula. Jesus said, "Come to me with a repentant heart." Simple. What's a repentant heart? A repentant heart is coming to God saying, "I'm sorry, forgive me," and then make a U-turn. Go the other way. Make your actions show that you really mean it. And once you do that, God said that He would wash away all those things, and it would be as though they never occurred. That's a tremendous promise. And if we take Him up on it, all of that stuff that we've been building up inside of us, all the sin, all the times we've blown it, those things can just be removed, and we get a fresh start.